All right, my bad. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the September 23rd, 2019 Board of Selectmen meeting. Before we get started, if we could all rise for our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, as we gather for this meeting, give us the use of your gift of peace and understanding that we may approach the matters we handle with sincere and just hearts. We thank you for your guidance in our decision-making, and we ask that we receive it again today. Lord, for all those that chose to pray with us, we each pray to you in the manner that we were taught. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to thank everybody in the audience for attending this evening. As always, I will try to do my best to get everybody up and out as quickly as possible. With that being said, I see we have a couple members from the Kiwanis here this evening. So, gentlemen, why don't you come on up, introduce yourself, and let us know what you're here for. How you doing?
How you doing? Very good, Joe. Hello, the board. My name is Dave Bogdan. I'm currently president of the Georgetown Kiwanis Club.
And I'm Jim Withrow, 114 North Street, Georgetown, and a worker bee at the Kiwanis Club.
Okay. And what are we here this evening for?
Well, every year we have a peanut day, where it's a peanut toll day, where we kind of lock up the square and East-West Main Street, North Street, Central Street, and Library Street for a small period of time, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we usually do it the Saturday before Halloween. There's a lot of movement. It's the I think it's the number 2 retail day weekend of the year. So we thought it'd be a good day to do it. And it's been successful. We need all the help we can get at the club, and this helps us fund things that the community asks us to do. So, and we would notify Chief Cudmore that we'll be there, as we do every year, and we have safety cones out, so everyone, and signs saying toll ahead. And we don't pressure anybody, but people are pretty giving, and whether it's a handful of change in their ashtray to whatever, $20 bills, $100 bills. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, it's a fun day, and we need it, and we're here to ask permission to do it again.
All right, fantastic. Dave, anything to?
Just that it's great to, one of our fundraisers is a good fundraiser, and we also are tapping into the same businesses and folks in town to, get donations from. Mm-hmm. So we're getting a lot of out-of-towners and stuff like that to come through, so we're not always knocking on the same door.
Sure.
And we feel it's better for everybody in general, because we do hit up the same businesses and folks.
Well, we do, yeah.
Oh, yes. We're right in line with everybody else, so it's great to share the wealth and the pressure to folks that are coming through the town and, using our street to come through, so.
Sure.
And this money helps start the funding for the Thanksgiving dinner that we provide all the seniors the Saturday before every Thanksgiving, full-blown Thanksgiving dinner.
We giving out turkey legs this year then? Or?
Yes, just like last year. Not the leftovers. You can always stop by the kitchen Saturday morning. There's plenty of turkey legs, as you know.
Are you guys doing the peanuts this year? I was talking. Who was I talking to? I think it was JK. Who said it might not have been peanuts this year because of peanut allergies and things like that. Is it going to be peanuts?
Peanuts and we did peanuts and pretzels. There's 2 bags.
Okay.
So we're not.
Okay. So it's 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and the date is when? I'm sorry.
October 26th.
October 26th.
Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
Okay. Fantastic.
Dave, can you just give us a couple of examples of some of the
things we do?
Charities and fundraisers that
Sure.
you've given to on the outgoing side?
On the outgoing side, each and every year, dating back to the 86 or something like that, something before that, we give $5,000 in scholarships to the graduating senior class. So that's been going on since, and of course, we lost a member, Bob Davidson, this year, so we gave one in his honor this year as well. You know, Bob was instrumental with our scholarship fund and doing this kind of thing, and Bob's been a member back in the 70s, so he's been around a long time. The other thing we do is Camp Sunshine, was a family camp up at Point Sebago area in Maine, and it's for families with kids with terminally ill diseases. And they go up there for a family vacation, and we've always helped support that program. We buy a brick, and also we just send money to them. That's another thing. And we helped at the movie night last Friday night over at the school. We did that, popcorn and hot dogs and burgers, I guess they had for that. And we do the Trick or Trunk, also same thing. We give away the popcorn and free for things for that. Of course, we did our concert series. You know, we do that. We whatever we bring in for the money for the concert series, we give to the concert series program. We turn back, so we really donate everything once we pay off our small fees for our popcorn and hot dogs and what have you. There, everything else we make profit goes right back to that program for the concert series. So we different sponsored youth programs, whatever, through the school system, whatever it needs. And a big thing now, we paid for the floor. Through Mike Anderson, he gave us a kind of like a list for the new kids program is. And so they asked X amount of dollars for the floor, and we wrote them a check, and that was perfect. They went up and they got it, and the floor's in. So we did that. And we were also for that.
I always like for everybody to hear that watching, because I know my wife's in the PTA, and she'll come back and be like, oh, geez, the Kiwanis stepped up. They did this, they did that. I know you would do a movie night.
Yeah.
So it's great that you guys do all that.
You know, let's do that. We did the remember the cold night with a tree lighting ceremony, same thing. Well, yes, let's hope it's a little warmer this year.
The electronic sign out here and the
The electronic sign
down
here,
in East Main Street.
the new one down on East
You
Main
guys
Street.
are all over the place.
So we like to keep them
Never mind, you
busy.
drown a penguin every year.
We do draw the
Fake
penguin in an undisclosed pond in town.
Right.
And for all those watching, the new Welcome to Georgetown sign, and and the flowers there and everything. So,
Yeah.
as you guys do a lot of great things, and I always, try to give you guys as many plugs as I can, while I have you in front of you. So I know
Very
you guys are
appreciative.
always looking for new members.
Yes, always
Right.
look for new members.
For anybody interested, contact. Should I tell them to contact you?
Dave Bogdan at
Okay.
978-352-8189. You can call me anytime.
Do you guys have a website? I don't know if I remember.
We're on the website through the Georgetown. Yeah, we do have a website through that.
Facebook pages
Facebook
more
pages.
active.
Yeah.
And we
You
do
can
meet
find
the
us on-
first and third Wednesdays down at the Meter House there, the Knights of Columbus House down next to that. That's where we're meeting right now. First and third Wednesday at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So anybody could stop in, and see us and.
And we
join.
will be having a information night in October for anyone that's interested in joining, see what we do. And, there'll be a sign-up sheet there, and we'll be feeding you. And we haven't nailed it down yet, but it'll be nailed down where. It'll be somewhere in town at a restaurant. And, it'll be 5:30, 7:30, I think, on October 16th. I just can't tell you where yet. But it'll be announced on all the Facebook pages. But
Great.
But it's-
Fantastic.
We are always looking for good members,
we
and
need
stuff, and just,
more members.
they don't have to be there every week, don't have to be, and we have guys that travel out of the country,
And I was going to
You
say,
can.
this organization is men and women.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I do know people that think it's just men.
Oh, no.
It is men and women. So whoever would like to join, contact these guys, and they'll give you, good information about the organization and how to help. So,
And
all right.
I was gonna say before that, just a plug, we do sponsor the kids, the 7th and 8th graders, which is the Builders Club in school. It's a social club. It's Junior Kiwanis. The 7th and 8th is the Builders, and the Key Club is the 8th through the 12th grade. And they're the ones that help serve on Thanksgiving dinner and stuff like that. So they have their own meetings before school in the morning. And we have one of our sponsors, and one of the teachers, of course, is a sponsor to that.
That's 8th through 12th?
It's actually 7th and 8th grade is the Builders Club, and then the Key Club is the same, is the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. up at the school and student.
And they help us out at our big functions.
Yeah,
Yep.
through the community service. So
Oh,
that's-
fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice, fantastic. Okay, any more questions about this date? Okay, if not, can I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to grant the Georgetown Kiwanis, is it a permit or approval?
Fundraiser toll,
Fundraiser toll for
October 22nd.
October 26th from 9 to 2 p.m. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
See you.
We'll see you out in the square.
All right, so we have the Georgetown Cares Coalition here this evening. Ladies, if you want to come on up. How we doing?
Very good. How are you? Great. Thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure.
So my name is Pam Lundquist, and I'm chairman of the Georgetown Cares Coalition Committee, which, as you know, is a subcommittee of your board. And we are just here to give you a quick little update kind of on what we've been doing and what our plans are looking for the year to come. I know that you have this handout, so I don't want to go into every part of it because that might take
slides, right?
Yeah,
quite
Yeah.
yeah.
a long time. And I know you have a packed agenda. But just for the public, we are a community health and safety initiative seeking to encourage Georgetown citizens of all ages to make safe, healthy, and responsible decisions around substance use. And our mission is to promote substance abuse prevention strategies, education, and resources aimed at making Georgetown the healthiest community it can be. So on our steering committee, we have Doug Dawes from the Board of Selectmen, and here's Carol Jacobs. Thank you so much for being here with us, the
welcome.
Superintendent of
You're
Schools for the schools, and Chief Mitchell from the Fire Department, and Chief Cudmore also joins us, and myself. Let's see, and everybody is welcome to come to the meetings. They're all open meetings. We invite people from the public. You know, we definitely want to hear from anyone who has any thoughts or ideas for us. We're generously funded by Healthy Farms. We were generously funded by Healthy Farms of Georgetown, and now we continue to be by Mission Georgetown Dispensary through a contractual host agreement. So we really want to thank the Mission Georgetown Dispensary for their generosity and allowing us to do what we do. So what do we do? Georgetown Cares, we meet on a monthly basis. We provide educational training events for the community, and we offer resources and fundings for various town departments. We also have a website, which is www.georgetowncaresmass.org, and a Facebook page, which is Georgetown Cares Massachusetts. I'm sure you all have heard a lot of the statistics around in the region and the state and the country that there's vaping is going up. Marijuana use is often flat. I listed some of the statistics we have that we can come up with. One of the things that we have been able to do through the Essex County Asset Builder Network is to conduct asset and behavior surveys. And the last one we conducted was in 2017. And that is really helpful to us. It does have a little bit of information about substance use. It also has information about building developmental assets, which is part of the foundation of our philosophy, because we recognize that when you build developmental assets, which are kind of their internal strengths and their experiences that really help young people to develop themselves into socially responsible citizens, caring people with good judgment, who can, better equipped to make healthy choices. And so this survey tells us, so there's 40 developmental assets, and it has shown us that our students grades 6 through 12 have an average of 21.5. So that's great for the 21.5 that we have. It also shows us that we have some areas that we can do some work in, and we can encourage with initiatives from Georgetown Cares. So our highest assets are support, achievement, family support, achievement, motivation, and positive peer influence, which are all wonderful things. Our 3 lowest overall assets are community values youth. So only about 30% of our youth feel that the community really offers experiences that show that they value young people. Creative activities and reading for pleasure. A lot of those are down, not just in Georgetown. It's more of a regional thing. But in any case, so that's why, a lot of what we do is aimed to help bolster these assets, such as working with the Georgetown Youth Community Center, which will have maker spaces and all kinds of, and books and games and all kinds of wonderful things for the young people too. And they said that they don't feel that one of the things that would make them feel more valued is to have a place for them to go themselves, to call their own, that's really focused on their needs. And so we've used them a lot. We've talked to them. They have a big role in developing this community center. So what have we done over the past few years? We have, we've funded the purchase of a new health and wellness K-12 curriculum for the Georgetown School District, Too Good for Drugs, which focuses on skill development, social emotional learning, and positive prevention. We've supported the Georgetown School District's 10 initial FlySense devices in the middle high school bathrooms, along with a vaping diversionary program that goes with it. By the way, we were the first high school in Massachusetts to put in the FlySense devices, and we've gotten a lot of interest from around the country. I field calls, you field calls, Mike Anderson fields calls, Principal Dan Richards fields calls from all over.
We've been on the news 3 times.
We've been on the news many times. I just got another call from Fox News down in Alabama, just asking what our experience has been with these devices and whether we feel they're worth it. So we did get, our first purchase, we didn't have enough money to buy the devices for every bathroom. Now the funding has been more released, and so we did feel it was good enough value to continue with those purchases. And according to Principal Richards, that we've had about a 75% reduction in vaping incidents that in the bathrooms. So that's a good thing.
So that folks who don't know what a FlySense device is,
Yes.
why don't you tell them?
Sure. It's a little detector that you put up on the ceiling. It's very, very small, and it detects differences, any difference in air quality that might come. So if somebody was vaping or smoking or anything, that would set it off, or noises. So any sudden loud noises that might indicate bullying or a fight or anything else. So then when that happens, a text goes to an administrator, and it's very specific. It tells the administrator, exactly what it is and where it is and when it is, and then the administrator will go to the bathroom and intercept the event, and then if it's a vaping event, we have the vaping diversionary program, which is an intensive education process, so that we're, it's a learning experience, and we're building relationships with these students rather than just, we want to educate rather than punish, although I know, second, third, fourth times. And then we're referring to pediatricians, and it goes from there.
And the school resource officer also is involved in working with us on this.
Right, so there's more than one administrator that could respond.
But then they're also part of the diversion program. So you might have to read a couple of articles, make some kind of response to it, and maybe you have to meet with the SRO. So they just kind of talk about, why is this not a good thing? And, we just try to educate, right? Sometimes they might meet with the school nurse. Sometimes they might, meet with the principal. Sometimes they have to watch videos and comment. It's just all designed to just give them another perspective on it. So it's not just, it's a cool thing to do. There's consequences for it.
And it's kind of customized to the students' interests or their questions or their concerns too. So
it's kind of like a progressive, like a discipline kind of thing, but it's not the punishment way. It's more of the restorative justice kind of thing.
Yes.
So you take consequences. Not that the school doesn't take it seriously, but it does give the kids an opportunity to show that they're able to make a better choice.
Yeah.
Are they just in the bathrooms, or is there buses? Just thinking of things
Not
like
buses.
Not buses,
But that's a conversation to have with the bus company.
yeah, that is, that's a good idea. I actually hadn't even thought of it.
Heard
So
some stories, so.
that's part of why we want to come up here to hear your ideas. But yeah, so we did just buy.
that. Just throw it out there.
By 14, and so Principal Richards had said that some vaping was taking place in locker rooms as well. So now once these are all installed, we'll have it in every single bathroom in the high school, all of the locker rooms, all 4 locker rooms, and also in the 5th and 6th grade bathrooms as well, because nationwide, we do know that it does start in 5th and 6th grade, and the worst health effects are often from kids who do start that early.
So you mentioned locker rooms. Aren't there some harsh consequences from the
MIAA?
yes?
There are.
If you get caught, are those being relayed to the kids? I mean,
The kids know.
and they don't care.
No, it's not they don't care. They're kids, so sometimes they think they're never going to get caught.
Well-
But I think that's part of what we've been doing is this diversion where we didn't hide it from the kids. We said they're in the bathrooms.
Oh, right,
But
yeah.
part of the reason they're in the bathrooms is because people don't want, many people are expressing they don't want to go into the bathroom when it's going on. So, in order to keep it, safe and comfortable for everyone in the school, we told the kids, this is for your safety.
I mean, honestly,
yeah.
we haven't put them in the lockers yet. I think
No,
they just arrived like last week. So
They did,
we'll
yeah.
have to see what happens in the locker room around that. But you're absolutely right. The MIAA has consequences.
Yeah, if you get caught, there's very serious consequences.
Well, there
for
was
any
one
substance.
coach that told me, and I won't say which one,
Yeah.
but if you get caught, it's a 5-game suspension.
Yep.
And we're not talking about cigarettes.
No,
At least I don't
anything.
think so. It's vape.
It's probably
Well,
both.
these,
It's any
is it
substance.
both?
would detect both, yes.
Okay.
I mean,
So anyway, there are consequences. So I would hope that
Oh, yeah,
the kids are
absolutely.
taking that seriously.
And on top of that, Mr. Chair, the school department has a policy of not allowing tobacco products or vaping products on campus.
right.
At all.
Right. So we don't change the handbook at all. When a student is caught, you can say, now look, according to the handbook, we can give you, all this suspension and all this, or we can reduce that, and you can, participate in the vaping diversionary program. And
And
so
if they
that's
complete
pretty
it, they have to
persuasive.
complete it.
They have to
can't just
complete
say,
it.
yeah, and there's still a punishment or a consequence to it, but it's
less.
It's less.
Yeah.
So the education component takes over. But as Pam said, if you're third, fourth time, then you got a bigger problem, right?
Right.
I mean, it is addicting. It is addicting.
It's very addicting, yeah, so.
Well,
it's
and we're starting
highly-
to see,
highly addicting.
pictures. We're starting to see, stories about kids that are now in hospitals.
Dying,
Their lungs are collapsing and things like that.
Yes.
Will that be part of maybe your curriculum?
That is part of
because I think the kids need to be kind of frightened a little bit about this is real. This is not.
Well, one of the great things about this brand-new curriculum that we have in the school is it is current, it is up to date, it does include information about the opioid crisis and the vaping. And so, it's not, before that we had this curriculum, our textbooks, our health and wellness textbooks were like 25 years old. They were, and
It
now-
was a sequential building of information.
It was, right.
It starts at kindergarten, but of course developmentally appropriate. But
Yeah, yeah.
there's something at every grade level that builds.
So I was also I was happy to hear that the vaping numbers were down, although sounds like we still have people that are being caught. There's my understanding that to vape you still need to be 21.
Oh, absolutely.
So in that questioning, are we questioning these kids as far as where they're getting it?
Yeah.
And
Well, we've gotten some information, but a lot of kids are getting it from other people get it for them online. You see Jewel is trying to
So many ways to
crack down on that now by saying that you have to prove that it's really you and that you are of age.
Actually, so one of the things we're going to be doing.
They do investigations.
Next year, we're going to be having a 2019 Attitudes and Behavior Survey. And at that time, we would like to add questions about vaping, and it might be that, if you do vape, where do you get it? Do you perceive it to be easy to get? We have not been able to ask those questions before, so we don't have statistical information about how many of our students.
Do you get it online? Do you get it
Right,
at a store?
exactly.
Right,
Yeah, just a multiple choice.
Stealing it from your parents or
Right.
brother or old sister.
And
But that's
it's
one of the
anonymous,
things
so
we'd
they
like
tend to be a little
you know,
honest.
ask. And there are other survey, let's see, what do I have here? Yeah, we'd like parent perceptions, community-wide mental health needs. You know, we would like to ask some more questions, so that's up and coming. So just what else we've done? We've done the Hidden in Plain Sight, which over 100 people attended. That was an amazing, I was like overwhelmed. I was so pleased that all these people were interested, and we had a lot of collaboration with the Georgetown Police Department, were so helpful. They also collaborated with the North Andover Police Department and the Attorney General Jonathan Blodgett's office. We've presented at a couple of fairs. We've also participated in the startup initial planning for the Georgetown Youth Community Center. So that's kind of what we've been doing. And so what's next? What's next? We started that conversation. Actually, we've been trying to have it all for a lot of the spring. We started talking more about it in this last meeting that we had on the 19th. I intend to, on this next meeting, really focus primarily on this because I want to get this action plan down. We want to reach out to more people in the community by collaborating with other town departments and organizations such as Park and Rec, Council on Aging, faith communities, businesses. We want to plan some community educational events, perhaps another Hidden in Plain Sight, since that was so successful, a parent university speaker series, a mental health first aid training course through the Pentonville House. We're definitely going to conduct another 2019 attitude and behavior survey for grades 6 through 12, and we'd like to add some more questions to that. We're thinking of developing a mini grant program for anyone in Georgetown interested in funding their own substance abuse prevention or 40 developmental asset related initiatives. We want, continual development of the website. I actually get a lot of interest from different organizations that would like us to promote their website, and so I vet them and I decide whether they'd really be helpful to our local residents, because I want this information on the website to be something accessible from Georgetown. I don't want it to be for anybody. I don't want information about rehabs in Arizona, you know. So and then if I do feel that it's going to be helpful to us, I put it up on the website. And let's see, if possible, we'd like to support the police, fire, council on aging departments or anything with training needs that they might have. So we do have a budget. We do keep track of the money as carefully as we possibly can. We review that budget at every meeting. And so how much money have we received to date in our account? It's been $45,000. How much money have we spent to date? It's been $35,000. What have we spent it on? We spent it on website development, the logo development, Too Good for Drugs curriculum, the FlySense devices, and the Essex County Asset Builder Network, otherwise known as ECAB contributions, and they do provide a lot of value to our community. They have a regional substance abuse prevention initiative funded through the Tower Foundation and the Tower Foundation would like to see that their contributions are matched. But they have trained our teachers, they have trained our students to analyze data, the data from the surveys, and present it to community members. And they've been of help to, with the surveys themselves. And I'm sure they've done other things for us.
Oh,
They
yeah.
help a lot
Well,
with
Tina Lose is very helpful.
Yeah, with
just in a lot of things that we're
the
doing.
Georgetown Youth Community Center, too. And so that's it. Our steering committee meetings are once a month, and we have everybody is welcome, as I said before, and I've got the dates here. So if you have any questions, we'd be happy to take them.
Any questions? Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to add.
Yes,
We
right.
have agreed as a committee, there's interest from community members for joining with the committee and being part of that committee. So we had a discussion, and the 5 members that we have now agreed that we would expand the number of seats from 5 to 7. Now, that was mentioned at a Board of Selectmen's meeting. I thought we voted on it, but I'm told we didn't. So we need to make a motion to expand the number of seats from 5 to 7. So I would ask for a motion to do that.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Good
We have a
thing.
second? Okay, we have a motion, a
Yes.
second, conversation? No? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then,
Great, we just want to encourage the spirit of volunteerism, and anybody who feels they have something to offer, we would like to,
and we have a
Bring them
member
in.
of the community that is already, Beth Blaznos,
yes,
who is,
Beth Blazonis.
she's, yeah, Blazon, I can't say it.
I know, right?
Blazonis. Remind me what she does. I know she's over at,
Yeah, she
was it
works
like
at
a
Greater
family
Lawrence,
counselor, trainer or whatever.
the hospital, and she helps mothers with newborns who are addicted to opiates.
So we feel she'd be a great new member to have. Plus, she also was appointed to be the cheerleading coach at Harvard University.
Harvard University.
Nice.
So I would ask for a motion, or I'd make a motion to appoint Beth
Blazonis.
Blazonis
Yeah?
to the Georgetown Cares Coalition Committee.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion, a second, discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
She'll be very happy.
Great,
Thank you.
yes, she does, she comes to meetings, she helps
She'll
with
shoot me
events,
for
so.
butchering her name.
No, she'll be fine.
What is the balance in the account right now? Is it 34?
Well, so we have 10 right now
then there's
available,
there's
but
new
there's
money.
going to be more in November.
Okay.
And so I don't,
right.
did you guys get this budget of mine?
Yeah, I
I'm
just
not sure.
wasn't.
Yeah, okay. All right. I know might be a little bit confusing, but it is.
I guess my only,
Follow it if you take
my last
your
question
time.
is when you do get funding again in November, are there any immediate expenses for the upcoming year?
That's what we're going to decide at the next meeting.
Yeah, okay.
We did just,
Wasn't sure.
yeah, we did just vote to spend about $600 on additional kits for the school's curriculum. But that's a small little piece of it. But we have, ideas and,
Okay.
yes.
All right, any further questions from the board? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it.
Coming in.
Good to see you.
See you too.
All right, next we have a resiliency grant request from Steve Przymski and Jillian Davies. So if you want to come on up and tell us what we're doing.
So I'm Jillian Davies with BSC Group.
Hi.
And I've actually been working for Georgetown for many years, helping the Conservation Commission do peer reviews of projects that come in front of the commission, just so you're familiar with how I got connected. And
Okay.
how many people have heard of the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program? Okay.
Can't say.
All right,
I
that's
read
fine.
about it today.
Okay, great. So BSC Group has been working with a number of municipalities around the state on this Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, and I talked to Steve about it, and then and he sounded interested, and last week we had a meeting with several other folks from your town staff who were also very interested in it. And so I have a brief slideshow that will just run through things. Basically, it's an Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs program, very much supported by the governor of the state. And what we're facing in Massachusetts are changes in climate, as you all probably are experiencing. We had almost, close to 90 degrees today, and it's almost October. We're seeing more heavier storms, sea levels rising, a lot more precipitation, and also at times more drought, depending on the time of year. So the governor has issued this executive order that did a number of things, one of which was to start a program to help municipalities deal with the impacts of climate change. And it's this Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, which is a partnership between the state and the municipality, where the state is providing funding to have, they'd like to have every municipality in the state go through a planning process to identify the vulnerabilities that are specific to your community related to climate change, and also what strengths do you have? Because we also, as communities, have strengths that can be used to help address the vulnerabilities, and then to come up with a plan of, it's basically a matrix of ideas of things, projects that can be done to increase the resiliency to climate change in the community. And the idea is that this comes from the community, so it's not the state top down telling you what you need to do or what your solutions are. There's you guys understand your community the best and what challenges you're facing. And so the idea is we have a series of meetings and that's very structured, and at the end of it you've identified the risks and the vulnerabilities and the strengths, and then come up with a brainstorm of ideas of how to address some of these problems, and then prioritize the list. And that's the first year. And then you get designated as an MVP community. And with that designation, you become eligible to apply for action grants. And that's bigger money. That will help fund projects in town, such as, for instance, probably just about every community in the state has undersized culverts that are having problems causing flooding, blowing them out. So a lot of communities are getting grants to address the undersized culverts, or you may have a bridge that's not in good repair, something like that. Also, communities, you can look at your downtown area where there's a lot of pavement and look at how to cool the downtown with more plantings. So those are some of the things. And then this map here shows the towns that have already gone through the MVP certification process. So right now, I guess 71% of the Commonwealth has gone through it, or is going through it and getting approved. And then they're now dividing the state up into regions, and they're in the process of hiring regional coordinators to help coordinate this as the program. This is going to be the third year that it's been up and running. So again, these are some of the points that I just raised, and they are also, as part of the program, the state has a website that provides downscaled climate prediction data for your watershed. So the modeling has gotten to the point now where we can predict by watershed, how much precipitation are we going to get 20 years out, 30 years out, 50 years out? How much are temperatures going to rise in this community versus that community? As you can imagine, for instance, a dense, highly developed area like Boston or Lowell or Worcester, they're going to have more heat problems than greener communities. So there are variations in what you see. There are differences in precipitation. The east side of the state is getting more heavy precipitation than the western side, where you're a little further inland, a little further away from the ocean. So there are these differences, and it helps you to plan as a municipality if you're more aware of what your particular community is facing. And then one thing people have discovered is that nature-based solutions often offer multiple benefits. So if you're going to spend some money, you might as well spend them in ways that are efficient and where you get more than one benefit. So for instance, planting trees that can provide cooling in the downtown. Well, the other thing it does is trees are big water pumps, and they'll help offset. They'll also suck up water and reduce flooding, and they sequester carbon, so they're actively pulling carbon out of the atmosphere. So you kind of get, tree planting gives you three benefits right there, plus wildlife habitat value, and aesthetics. So they're looking for solutions that, for the dollar spent, hit on a number of things altogether. And they're the two types of grants. The first year is the planning grant. And so the company that I work for, a number of us are certified MVP providers. So the municipalities have to work with a certified provider who's been through the training. And we've already been through this process with several municipalities. So It's good to have someone who's experienced. And then the second year, you can apply for those action grants. And these are, this RFR, they're estimating that they're going to release a call for an RFR in late September, so that would have to be this week. And they'll look at those, this is for the planning grant, I guess on a rolling basis, so they're not actually setting a deadline. I think they really want all the communities to participate, and then the project has to be completed by the end of the fiscal year. And so again, it's a community-driven process that identifies priority actions, and use the climate data. There's a structured process for the meetings. There's a series of meetings with a community workshop where you bring a lot of the leaders in the community together to do this identification of the vulnerabilities, risks, and solutions. And then you get your designation, which then you can apply for the action grants. And so municipalities, just you wind up establishing a core team, and engaging the central stakeholders in your community, and you just commit to participating in the process, and you use their various procedures. So this is from fiscal year 2019. For the planning grants, on average was $27.5 thousand bucks, and they gave it out to 92 communities. And that's just some of the details in the planning grant. You don't really have to get into those details too much. And then their action grants, that's for the second year. That just shows some of the things. And there's a match for these, but the match can be labor. It can just be the amount of time, like you have the town staff coming to these meetings, so their attendance at the meeting counts towards the match, or the time that the staff has in sending out the invitations or something like that. So it's really not meant to be burdensome at all, and the consultant has to do all the report writing. so that takes the burden off you guys. And so those are the types of action grants. They have a bunch of categories, so there's a wide range of categories, and that you can apply for. And again, nature-based solutions are offer multiple benefits. Whoops. So those are some communities that have done some of these nature-based solutions. Just some of the types that there are. And these are some of the criteria that they use for deciding who gets the grant money on the, and some more competitive evaluation criteria. And just a few more details, which we don't have to get too into today. And then these are the action grants, and the funding average grant was $390,000. They've funded 36 projects, and 32 were not funded, so over half the projects got funded. So it's a substantial program. And these are just a couple examples. Mattapoisett, they purchased some land that will prevent development in really vulnerable areas, which would cause problems down the road. And then Millbury, they did a variety of green infrastructure solutions, rain gardens, planters, porous pavement. And Boston developed a resilient building code and retrofitted a waterfront park with nature-based solutions. Belchertown replaced the water storage tank and to try to deal with drought, and also installed a rainwater harvesting system to irrigate the athletic fields. Salisbury raised some of its roads by improving tidal flushing through culvert replacements. And that's just some more process. So that's just a really quick run through of what the program is. And so one key piece of it is that this community supports it. And so we would ask that you all, if you're interested in supporting this as a way for your community to start thinking proactively about how to be resilient and then access the funds for especially getting to the action grant stage. So, and if you have any questions, yeah.
So, being that this money is coming from the state, what stipulations does the state have in how many hooks are put in us?
Okay. One is the match, and I think it was 120 to 200 hours for the planning grant. We've just gone through this with some communities, and that just got eaten up really fairly easily just with coordinating with us and having a series of meetings, and then having there's an all-day workshop. And if you want the leaders from the community there, so if you have several staff people at an all-day workshop, that's a lot of hours right there. Also, the town does a little of the coordination work in terms of getting letters of support from different components in the community, different stakeholders, and sending invitations out, collaborating with your MVP providers, just communicating through email and phone calls about the project's progression. And then we, as the consultant, there are 4 reports. The first 3 are very brief, very easy, frankly, quarterly reports that we prepare, send it to you, you review it, and then the town submits it to the state. The final report is lengthier, and again, we do all the hard work on the report and just show it to you before it's finalized for review, and then you guys submit it to the state. So and they do require that you follow, they have a tested method for this with the CRB workshop, and they've trained us on how to run that type of workshop. So they do want you to use their particular method, and it works. It's very effective. I thought it worked very well when we did it with other communities. So that's about it. They don't want it to be a big burden for the towns.
Oh, I was talking about after you've already received
afterwards?
this money.
Okay.
Once you've received the money from the state, then what is required after that?
Okay, so the money.
Now you've done a project.
Okay.
Or then does the state follow you as
Okay.
far as how that project is going, or the maintenance of it?
The planning grant money basically pays for you to hire the consultant to go through that process of getting to the point where you've submitted those reports. After you've submitted the report, you have to do a yearly report to show that you're continuing to work on resiliency in your community. Again, they don't want to burden you with a big, heavy report. They don't want a lot of reports on the shelf. They just want to see that you're continuing to move forward. And things like green, I know you guys are just about finishing up getting certified as green community, so that would count as something you're doing towards resiliency. Applying for the action grants counts as something you're doing to continue. So they do want to see you then applying for the action grants, and they do want to fund it. And they're coming up with more mechanisms to bring more money into the action grant program.
So how many times can you apply? I mean, let's say you get accepted for a project. Is there then a time limit before you can apply for another project, like a year or 2
No.
years or whatever? You
No.
can apply every year if you want?
Yeah, you can
As
apply every
long
year.
as
You
there's
can
money
even apply
available.
for more than one project in 1 year. Yeah. And you can break bigger projects into pieces so that if you say you have a job that's really, or a project that's really a 3 to 5 year project, you can break it into phases because the grants are tied to the fiscal year. So their goal is not to create a workload for the cities. It's not to have reports sitting on the shelf. Their goal is to see communities getting the funding they need and the technical support that they need to become more climate resilient so that we have fewer emergency response situations, fewer streets flooding out, fewer citizens stranded, fewer elderly or other vulnerable populations in health hazard situations, less effects from heat islands, urban heat islands, more flood storage on the landscape so that it's not in our basements. They really want to see this because if you look at the big picture, it's still going to be less costly to do things proactively than retroactively.
Like stormwater runoff, things like
Yes,
that.
stormwater runoff, dealing with stormwater runoff, exactly.
So we have a couple of ponds in the town that are, well, one is overrun by weeds, something like that.
Yeah, invasive species treatments can be part of it. Yep, that's a nature-based solution.
Okay, I'm just trying to get my head around.
Yeah.
Because it's all based on this climate change. And I'm just trying to get my head around how flexible and wide are the possibilities for the use of
Pretty
monies.
wide.
Yeah, they're pretty wide and you can get pretty creative.
Yeah.
I mean, in the meeting, we had, planning, highway, fire, police. Again, this is not a Conservation Commission initiative. It's a town-wide. I just happened to get thrown in front by Mike. So, yes, you can buy some
Great
land.
idea, Steve. You're in charge.
There is the potential to buy land as open space, for open space, but it's to protect from flooding and drinking water quality. There's some things that directly might impact the open space, but a lot of these are benefiting the community as a whole in every department that's here.
Mentioned match.
What?
I heard the word match.
Yes, that's the part where the town contributes, I think, 120 to 200 people hours.
So it's going to be a soft match. So
soft,
say it's
no money.
Say it's a $100,000 project.
Yeah.
We have to contribute a certain value of time, and so most of it's
The
time.
grants 100% for the prop.
The grant would give you the total amount of dollars that you need to do it.
Not just for design, but for completion.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You
And you
need
might
to
phase that,
volunteer.
like you might need
Well,
to
you
do
need
a design
volunteers.
year, permitting, because you can't, projects take more than 1 year. And then you'd have the shovel-ready year where you're actually doing the construction.
I think it depends on the project. Some of the projects that Peter Durkee does, he does a lot of the work himself. So if he can hire an engineer, buy equipment, the soft matches his guy's time and material and things like that. We're not looking to go to CPC and go to the town for more funds to cover these. I have some questions myself. So land acquisition, you buy a $500,000 piece of land. How do you do a soft match on that? I don't know. The goal is not to come to the town looking for more money, though. The goal is to cover it with that
Make
soft
sure wetlands
approach.
crossings are done properly.
Exactly.
Make them available
Yeah.
in cases.
Yeah. And
I have one in mind.
if you have an undersized culvert that's flooding out a road or something, you could do a hydraulic study, do the permitting, and then bring it up to meet the stream crossing standards, which what they're finding when they put in the crossings that meet the stream crossing standards, they're not blowing out with the bigger storms, the way the old culverts are blowing out or clogging up and causing flooding. So they're feeling that if you can meet the stream crossings, the wildlife stream crossing standards, you're creating capacity for handling these bigger storms.
See, to me, more development is what sends it down. And so if you make your culvert larger, aren't you just sending your problem downstream to another spot?
So that's why you
or-
have to do a study, because you have to figure that out. And there's some situations where you're not going to do that because exactly right. But there are other situations where it's fine. It depends on where the culvert is and what's down
I
from it.
mean, there's not a presumption every culvert needs to be bigger. It's
Yeah.
evaluating. This one's
Yeah.
undersized.
Right.
Library Street
And
is a
some might
great
be
example.
fine. Some
Yeah.
culverts may have been built
Yeah.
big enough to begin with.
But I mean, I
so-
look at Library Street, I look at the old pictures, there used to be a little applewood, a little brook would run through. Now you have 2 ponds on either side. It might be evaluating those culverts. Maybe one of the culverts leaving is too small and it's backing up all that water and flooding out. And that one library, that house over there, their septic system's always getting flooded out. Evaluating that septic system and the elevations in those pipes, I have a feeling they're undersized. So they might get enlarged, but a lot of
Beavers.
them we evaluate it.
Beavers, close
Yep.
problems.
Yep. I mean, opening up some of the river flow. I know the scouts used to go and do some opening up. Again, these are things we can evaluate, and if if it makes sense and they're willing to fund it.
Yeah, I mean,
pretty
it's, sorry, Doug, go ahead. I mean, Gary, sorry.
Is it okay?
Sure.
One of the questions I think I've been hearing recently, and that is that the fact that Georgetown does have a lot of conservation land and keeping trails open because of in case of a fire or anything. I mean, when I was younger, everybody had fire lanes through their land. Those are no longer maintained. Would something of that sort, do you think something of that sort would fit?
It
Because if we
could,
lost the forests,
Right.
it's just gonna mean more.
it could, because
flooding.
drought isn't gonna increase the chance of wildfire.
Yes.
So that could be part of a, part of a plan, for instance.
And then those same trails could be used for hiking and walking
Right.
trails.
So you could have dual use recreational value and,
And getting
Yeah.
fire and police if there's an emergency,
Yeah.
someone gets
Yeah,
hurt
he wants a
hiking.
new truck to get out there with, but I don't know how he's gonna fit it,
Chainsaws first.
Yeah. And I think it's
So-
very creative. There's so many different options. That's why it's not a Conservation Commission project, I think.
yeah.
I mean, there's talking about cutting down dead trees to protect them from hitting power lines and houses and cars. There's a lot of different.
So Steve, you say that, but that's actually one of my questions. Who is heading
Mike,
this type of effort? You?
Who is BSA? It doesn't.
Really?
BSC, it doesn't, I didn't see that in here.
Oh, BSC.
Billion is BSC.
Yes, but I mean, what's it stand for, I guess? It
it's-
explained in the beginning what MBP is and
Okay.
EEOEA, but I didn't see one for
Okay.
BSC.
Okay, so we're kind of a full-service consulting company, so we have engineers and surveyors, and I'm a wetland and soil scientist myself, so we do the natural resources piece, we have planners, we have landscape architects, sort of a typical, we're mid-sized company, like 130, 140 people, something like that. I work out of the Worcester office. We have an office in Boston, one on the Cape, one in Glastonbury, and one in Andover. And so we kind of do all the things that that type of a company does. And one of the things that we do is this municipal vulnerability preparedness planning and action grant, where we collaborate with towns. But we've had a lot of we do a lot of consulting to towns for other things. Like as a wetland scientist, I've served as a peer reviewer for Georgetown and other towns, and then our engineers have often helped design bridges or culvert crossings for a lot of municipalities. So depending on the discipline, people have worked for towns in a variety of capacities. So.
So I'm serious about my question. I need someone to answer my question. Who would be in charge? Like, where do you see other communities? How are they putting this together?
Okay.
Because I feel like there's going to be like 7 committees that are lining up for this, and there might be some internal fighting. Are there committees that are going to be put together?
So how
would this work?
What you do is you decide who your core team is. So that's something internally that you decide. You probably want 1 or 2 point people who we at BSC would be doing most of the communicating with. But then this core team would meet a little bit more frequently, like 2 or 3 times before the big community meeting. It's not a lot of meetings. It's 2 or 3. And the core team it's nice if there's someone from fire, someone from police, public health, planning, conservation.
That's my point. It seems like there's a lot of people would have a lot of interest in certain
Yes.
projects, and how do we figure out
Okay,
what projects
that's
we
where,
want
that's the structure that we would bring as the facilitator, basically. There is a structure for this, and you have this all-day workshop where there's a risk matrix, and you work together in small groups to come up with lists of vulnerabilities and strengths that I mentioned, and you make those lists, and then people make lists of brainstorm lists of this project, that project, this idea, that idea. You put them all up there, and then collectively discuss the pros and cons, and then they wind up prioritizing the list into high, medium, and low. So you don't just have one big list at the end. It's actually prioritized into the 3 categories, and so then your town leadership can decide. You're going to want to choose from the highs first for your action grants. So you have a few different projects that are in the high category that you can then choose, and there may be, you may run into some logistical problems with some of the highs, so you want to have a few highs because some may be easier to do than others. And
we had a core meeting,
Yeah.
and it was most of the department heads. This is a perfect fit, I believe. We already have a hazard mitigation committee
Okay.
that developed a plan. We're required to have one to be able to participate in FEMA.
Okay.
And that's after the fact. They, for disasters. This is in front of that. You try to prevent or prepare for a disaster,
Okay.
a nature-based
Yeah.
disaster. The hazard of mitigation, that includes school shootings and things like that too.
Yeah.
But the core group that we got together and listened to Jillian, police, highway, just the usual suspects that would benefit. I mean, Peter can get more culverts.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see it. But Jillian, let me ask you a question. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there were 32 communities that did not get funding this year. So how are decisions made when applications are put in? What is
Okay.
is there a formula?
They have a bunch of criteria that there's a scoring when the RFR comes out. For the action grants, they tell you how you're going to get points. So they're going to score the different applications, and so if they only have so much money, they're going to fund the ones that score higher. So, but what the scoring system is ahead, so you can try to design your application to score high. The other thing is they have some red flag issues that they're not going to fund, and so if someone just misses it, they're going to get chucked because they didn't understand the RFR correctly and they put an idea in that's not going to get funded. So which happened, I guess.
Okay, good.
My question was along the same lines.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Quick question, on slide 11, it
Okay.
says procure an MVP.
Page 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you could just talk a little bit what that, is that an out-of-pocket expense? Procure a state certified MVP
Procure state
provider.
no, because we at BSC, for instance, it's up to you to choose whoever you want, but so we are a certified MVP provider, and you just have to decide to work with whoever you want to work with, and the procuring part, the grant money from the state then pays us. Like, it goes to you guys in your bank account, and then you pay it to us. So we're working for you, but it's with state money. So it doesn't cost you a penny. It's just, the only thing you have to contribute is the labor that they view as necessary to have you guys participating and active in it.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
Is it exempt from 30B bidding?
Right. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, because we didn't have to.
We're not paying anybody to do this.
Yeah.
Right. Because the towns that we worked with before, when we helped prepare the application for them, and they just kind of went with us, and so they didn't have to go out to bid or anything.
I just want to make sure we both understand, all of us understand the team that will be, or the board, the committee, the whatever. So what you're saying is it's going to be yourself and then the heads of each department, fire, police, highway,
Planning.
conservation, planning, zoning,
Board of Health.
Board of Health. Is that,
Yes.
okay. And then collectively, you will agree that whatever project you come up with based on this scoring system will be the one that you take on as far as priorities?
No, it's the planning part of it is the citizens decide what we're gonna do,
Okay.
not us. It's not our decision.
Although you guys participate in
Yeah.
the workshop, but they're participants and you invite other stakeholders within the community, so it's even a little bigger when you have the CRB workshop. And what you come out of it at the end is a risk matrix that's a list of the prioritized risks, vulnerabilities, strengths, and then the action items to address those. And those action items are broken into 3 different groups. So you wind up with a fairly extensive list. And then and then you're planning, once we provide the reports to the state, you're done. There's a listening session after the report is drafted where it's publicized to the whole community so the whole community can come and hear about it. And then you're done with this planning grant. And then when you start the action grant, you can get your core team together or whoever you want in leadership to look at that risk matrix, and you have several projects that have been ranked high. Which one do you want to really drill into and do an action grant application? You know, and you can choose, and you can even do more than one. You can do more than one at the same time. And so that when you get to that point, you may have some practical concerns that you say, well, for these reasons, we want to focus on these 2 top choices. And these other ones are nice ideas, but there's some obstacles, so we're going to put those on hold for now. You know, that kind of thing.
I'd like to, I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly here, but there was a program from the state called Complete Streets. I went to a couple of workshops, but our highway surveyor, Peter Durkee, and our town planner did an awful lot of work to make sure we had a high-scoring, you know, project list. And and then we got told, oh yeah, you guys are in. And when it came time to dole the money out, they said, up, too bad.
Okay.
You know? So I don't know, this is what I was kind of alluding to with the state, and so you have a high-scoring project, let's say. It still doesn't guarantee that you're going to get any money from it. Meanwhile,
Well,
you've got everybody hyped up.
There's a couple of things with that. One is you can apply again for the next year. They're planning on funding this for many, many years, not just 1 or 2 years. So you have multiple shots at the apple. Another thing is you can put more than one application in it simultaneously so that you can, you know, hedge your bets a bit. And the other thing is that I know they're trying to increase the funding. And then for this past year, it looks like they funded 36 out of 68 projects. So they funded over half, which is not bad. That's a pretty good, you know, I mean, if they were only funding the top 10%, you might go, well, odds aren't so good. But they're funding over half of them. So it's pretty good odds, and they want to fund them. And it's, they're looking.
Is there a maximum dollar size?
There might be, but it's a pretty good, I mean, the average grant was $390,000, so you can do something with that money. I mean, we're not talking $5,000 grants here. So.
Well, I just wanted to put that out there because, I mean, it happens. We're all psyched up about it, and
It's a lot of work, to your point.
Yeah.
Just that one meeting was an hour and a half of
Right.
eight staff members. You do
Right.
that 20 times and nothing comes of it. It's a significant amount of energy and resources, so.
Well, we won't be having 20 meetings.
No, I mean, listen, I'm a firm believer that we're part of our job as human beings is to be stewards of our planet. So no matter what theories are offered for anything, we still need to be good stewards of our planet and take care of our own backyard. And, you know, so when these programs that come along, I see them to be, you know, fairly worthwhile without having any political stances involved in it, but just to have stuff. Like we talk about culverts, and we talk about ponds, and we talk about, you know,
Wetlands crossings.
Yeah. You know, different things like that, when we take care of our community. But I just don't, I just really am,
Every time I say that, he cringes.
Mike, do we need a vote to opt into this, or what do we, was this information, do we need anything from the board, or?
I guess we just need consensus of the board that we should move ahead with the planning grant.
Okay, so you need a vote.
Yeah.
Okay, so, anybody want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the planning phase of the
Municipal
resiliency grant.
vulnerability MVP program.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Can you make a motion in a second?
Second.
You gonna second? What's that?
We have a letter to sign, so would we be giving the chair the okay to sign this letter?
Or me.
All right, we have a motion in a second.
Oh, you already did it with Joe. All right. Authorize Joe to sign the,
So should that be in the,
The support letter.
support letter.
yeah, being that that the board is,
Oh, you have copies of it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I just put Georgetown's name in it, put it on.
All right, so we have a motion in a second on the floor, Mike. Are we still moving forward with this, or are we just looking for me to sign that letter?
Just like we did at the
Downstairs, yeah.
other session.
All right, so,
Authorize you to sign the.
all right, so,
we have a motion in a second.
yeah, we have a motion in a
well,
second.
that's
Over there.
basically, we feel okay about the project, I
Yeah.
guess. That kind of was a,
Yeah.
You know what, in the motion, you wanna put
Second
that?
motion in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're gonna have to, for me to do it. So, let's vote on this one first, and then we'll do a second motion, okay? All those in favor of the first one? Aye.
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 What's going on, guys, with this?
No, it's supposed to be the other way around.
Well, you know, sometimes,
All right, so we'll make a motion on the second one.
so moved to have the chair sign the letter that's in our packet tonight
Second.
for MVP planning grant.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
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 Guys can speak up. Come on. Come on. Need coffee? What are we doing?
We like to
All right.
Yeah, I think what it is, Mr. Chair, we get into a lot of things sometimes, and we do a lot of work and nothing comes out of them. I think that's, so I think that might be some of the hesitation.
No, granted, and I agree. I really do.
I was looking today for some information, and I found this folder, this stick on strategic planning that I've got. And you don't know how many hours I sat here and spent on strategic planning,
Yep.
only to,
Yeah. But on the flip side, you know what you get if you don't move forward with things like this? Nothing. So, you can end up on both sides of nothing, if you don't move forward with it. So, Jillian, thank you so much for joining tonight. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the information.
Keep me in mind, Steve.
Nice food.
We look forward to the $500,000 when eventually get down the road. Thank you.
we've got a lot of conservation land in town, and maybe we can come up with something.
Well, I'm sure we'll come up with something. I think we're pretty good at finding things to spend.
That makes sense.
All right, gentlemen, on the agenda, since, you're here for the warrant, or are you here for something else?
Warrant, and also, just one brief thing.
Come on, Alfred.
Good evening.
How you doing, Chief?
Good, how you guys doing?
I'm good. What's up?
I received last week in the mail, midweek, from Mrs. Pearson, Frances Pearson from 112 Pond Street in Georgetown. She made a donation to the fire department. It says, it was dated 9/16/19. It says, "Dear sir, enclosed is my yearly donation of $1,000 to be used for any equipment needed, just giving back to a wonderful community. Sincerely, Frances Pearson, 112 Pond Street, Georgetown, Mass." Since when I first started here, you know, I started in October of 15, and a few weeks after that, there was this, and every year since then, she's given
Yeah,
$1,000.
I remember. Oh, yeah.
And, you know, very appreciative of it, and she's right, wonderful community. So I'm just asking the board to accept this on behalf of the fire department.
Yep.
And
Fantastic.
we definitely are going to spend it.
Make a
There's no
motion for
question
that,
about
Joe.
it.
Yep, please.
Make a motion to accept the $1,000 donation from Francis Pearson at 112 Pond Street, Georgetown, Mass.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Discussion? No? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll be sending out a letter tomorrow, thanking, like I normally do.
Please.
After that, on behalf of the town and for the donation. So,
Fantastic. Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you. We'll be getting to that in a
Yeah,
second.
yeah,
okay?
no problem.
I saw that little light shine, I thought maybe you were E E.T.
Yeah, hasn't burnt out yet. I'm surprised.
So actually, gentlemen, on the agenda, we're going to go down to the appointments and approvals, quickly. Doug, why don't you pick up from there so we don't forget?
As the Board of Selectmen representative on the East Essex District for Veteran Services, our board over there decided that, because sometimes we have problems with quorums, so we made a decision to allow alternates to that board. And the alternate's responsibility would simply be if one of the primary members was unable to make it, then they would go to the meeting and have full voting rights. So we decided to increase that. There's currently 8 members of the board, so there'd be 8 alternates. Subsequently, I looked around and I found a candidate here in Georgetown, Scott Daigle. And Scott is a U.S. Army veteran, Vietnam veteran. He was in the surgical unit in Vietnam, taking care of our guys that got torn up and wounded over there. He sent me an email, said, "Thank you for inquiring regarding my interest in becoming an alternate for the Veteran Services Board of Directors for East Essex Veteran Services District. I do have a keen interest in the board and district's consideration for such an appointment. My open schedule will provide my availability as might be needed. I see this possibility as a privilege to serve my fellow veterans. Sincerely, J. Scott Daigle." So I would move that we appoint J. Scott Daigle as an alternate to the East Essex District for Veteran Services.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Scott, thank you very much. We
Thank you,
certainly
Scott.
appreciate it. All right, we'll stay on appointments and approvals. We have a request to surplus property.
I gotta get to that page.
Yes. Mr. Farrell wants to surplus some chairs.
Okay, so this, it looks like we got some chairs here.
Yeah, there's just 5 chairs that they've been replaced already, and we just need permission to get rid of them.
Flipped on the camera.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion?
Can you read it?
Yeah. I got skills, man. I make a motion to surplus 5 office chairs, age 8 to 10 years, fabric stained, 1 poor condition, values roughly $50, $60 each. I'm assuming that's new or now?
Original?
New.
Yeah. Okay. And the chairs have already been replaced, so make a motion to surplus those.
Oh, second.
We have a motion, a second, discussion? Not all those, oh, go
Well, I
ahead.
do.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, were these chairs in the selectman's office or around town hall?
Town hall.
Town hall? Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? No? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, and we have Request for an appointment of Peter Durkee to the Holiday Events Committee. Peter would be our fourth member of a potential five-member board. So if I can have a motion to accept Peter on that.
Make a motion to appoint Peter Durkee to the Holiday Events Committee, term to expire June 30th, 2020.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, there's a second. Any discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Peter.
Peter. Appreciate it. All right, let's jump up to the top. We have some, these are requests. I don't see that here.
Do we have any of that in the packet? Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. That
Yeah.
was from,
I think that was it, yeah. Okay.
part of the minutes.
We're gonna hop up to approve the minutes. We're gonna start with executive session minutes, September 9th. Everybody have a chance to take a look at those?
Yep.
Any discussion on those?
Nope.
All right, can I have a motion?
Want me to do one at a time?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the executive session minutes from, let's see here. First one looks to be
September 9th.
September 9th, 2019.
Do we have to keep them sealed?
Yes. Do we? No?
No. There were no decisions made.
Okay.
Discussion was summarized very parsimoniously.
Yeah, it's very minimal.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? If not, all those in favor?
Aye. All right. Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the executive session minutes from September 16th, 2019.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, at the bottom, it says you're gonna reconvene an open meeting after the executive session, which I don't think you did.
Not on the 16th.
And on the back, it says that I motioned, and I wasn't there.
That is also true. You're there in spirit, though, Gary.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yes, two good catches on that. So we do have to omit those two.
Not,
Let's see.
and so we will not convene.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then- Oh, motion by select.
Okay, any other discussion on those? Okay. We have a motion then on, did we get a motion and a second?
We had
Okay.
it.
That was just discussion. Okay, if not, if no other discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
And two abstentions. Yep. Okay. Further minutes of open session on the 9th.
Move to approve the minutes as printed of September 9th, 2019, of the open session on the, up here at 7 PM on the third floor meeting room.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second discussion on those minutes. If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
David, you,
One question, I'm sorry, did we get feedback after the fact from the, as requested from the PD? They were gonna send us a report, or you a report? If I was not mistaken, Joe?
I don't think they were gonna send it
Oh, is that
to us
on?
immediately.
The dangerousness dog hearing?
Yeah, they were gonna supply,
Chief.
a report, down the road when they, followed up with the.
Okay, then yes, second. That's
Okay.
fine, maybe.
All right, so David's a yes on that too. All right, so notice of road work from the highway surveyor to our citizens in Georgetown. Road work will be taking place September 19th and 20th on Thurlow, which has already happened. Road work will be taking place September 20th on Nelson, which has already happened. Road work will be taking place September 26th on Monroe Street and Madison Ave, Following completion of Monroe and Madison, road work will be taking place on Boardman Street and Dummer Ave. And then lastly, road work will then begin the week of September 30th on North Street, Noyes Road, and Webb Road.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So let's hop down to the request for support of House 2705 and kind of get that out of there. All right. So this is a letter that is looking for support from us. And it has to do with small local banks and credit unions, giving them the opportunity and the availability to take in deposits from those municipalities, which they do not have right now. It is something that is being argued, on the Hill, and again, there is a request from the town for support for those small banks, community banks, and credit unions to do that. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at this letter? Bless you.
Yes.
Okay, so any commentary, questions, things of that nature?
Mike, would this save us any money? Georgetown?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, do you think we would get better rates, or because of the local municipality?
No, I have no reason to believe
Okay.
we would. I mean, it's competitive out there.
Okay.
I would argue respectfully, Mike, the opposite. I think you would. I think that the small community banks and credit unions offer a little bit more on the rate side than say the bigger banks, but that's just me. So just kind of counterpoint to that. So any other commentary?
It basically reached credit unions. I mean,
Right.
I'm not seeing,
Do
they fall under a certain
without
bank
going down a
union?
rabbit hole here,
Yeah.
Gary, credit unions right now.
Was it only credit union? I thought it was small banks as well.
No, small banks can do it. Credit unions cannot accept deposits, and it's really the small credit unions that want to get in the game because they're always looking for the small $200,000 or $300,000 CD that they can offer some juice on. But the town makes maybe a few extra basis points here or there, and at the end of the day, that's my understanding, I will say.
And some of them might be more community involved. I mean, I don't think we
I don't-
have one in
I-
town, but I do know, like in Newburyport, they get somewhat community involved, and as do some of your
They may
local
not.
banks.
I don't work there. I can't
So
speak
it
to
would
that.
just be helping to support
It's just credit
the
unions.
smaller local institutions from the looks of it. But as Doug, I was glad he asked Mike. I mean, I do value, he is a finance
Yeah,
person.
it's just
and
credit unions, just so I can clarify.
At this point, Mike doesn't see any benefits, but you don't see anything
No,
negative.
I don't see anything negative about
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Negative about the credit unions taking deposits.
Correct.
Right, okay.
The treasurer, well, they'd have to be included in the survey by the state. We can only deposit money in banks. Well, our policy, there's a list where it's color coded. They have to be on the green list versus the yellow list. We won't, so if the credit unions are on the yellow list, we're still not gonna, put deposits in them.
Yeah, and I'm sure that list is comprised of banks of certain size, certain financial stability, certain track record, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they don't even give them a chance to get on that list
Correct.
right now. So, would take a policy shift.
Joe, I'm gonna abstain from this one, just.
No, you and I both have to
Yeah,
abstain
yeah.
from this. And for the board, David and I both work for banks, so we are not going to participate. in
Would
this.
it best if we
Well,
have,
then,
Yep.
I'm sorry, Gary, go ahead.
I wondered if it would be best if we have Kip as the clerk. I think, is he the clerk this year?
Yep.
Would it be best if he signed it rather than the chair? I mean,
Oh, it has to be that way. I
That's what I was
can't.
gonna
because
say.
it's written for
Yeah, I
for
can't.
your signature.
That's gonna have to change.
The motion would be to have authorized Kip as the
Yeah.
selectman clerk to sign this
Yep.
letter of support.
And it's you three that will be voting this, and David and I will be abstaining.
Can I ask where did this request come from?
Yeah, okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this came from one of our residents in town, David Surface, who is president of a credit union and has showed frustration over the past. And David is one of the voices, on the Hill, that is lobbying, for lack of a better word,
Sure.
for this.
Yeah, no, I was just curious where
Yeah.
it came from.
Yep. And again, David is
One of many.
reaching out to his own town, but there are other towns that are, being asked, for this to back up, their efforts
Yeah.
into getting this done. So
Do we know why they were not included originally? Like, why not?
It's just been a long-standing practice that
So they
It's nothing
have-
specific.
yeah, I
No.
know.
Yeah.
They come under different banking.
My-
mean,
This came up briefly when we were making hot dogs, and, David said that, times have changed. Credit unions aren't just the, CD depository with the, HELOC and mortgage loans. Now they do offer some commercial products, and they offer things and have services that most banks have in a lot of cases, and they feel they should be provided the same opportunity, and that's why he's pushing for.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
no.
Did David write this letter, or did it come from the legislature?
did come from the legislature. It came from David. I don't know who wrote it.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't have any issue with it.
Okay. So if you'd like someone to make a motion.
So I'll move that the Board of Selectmen authorize Selectman Kip Durney to sign the letter of support for House 2705, an act relative to public funds enabling municipalities to utilize credit unions as depositories.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Abstain. So Janet, if you can get a letter, to Selectman Jardy, for signature. And just so everyone knows, former Selectman Surface just saw the vote and thanks all involved.
I was wondering how long that was gonna
It
take.
didn't take long.
Glad to see you watching, David.
Or do you just send you?
Yeah. All right, so, oh, excuse me, moderator Surface.
Yep.
All right, last week, we have to close the warrant this evening. Mike, if we can go over where we're at with, the few items that we had on the table. Has anything else popped up, or are there any alterations to what we were talking about in last session?
Let's see, there was... Yes, one thing popped up. We owe the Georgetown Cares a couple $1,000s. It got lost in the shuffle when the DOR closed out the Selectmen gift accounts that
Okay.
had the marijuana money in it. And so we're gonna, I don't have the exact figure, maybe Doug. you
I don't
do?
have the exact figure, I
It's-
know
it's
it's
right around
someplace between 2,000 and 2,300.
Yeah, $2,100. So we would add that to Article number 1 to be funded through free cash. All these items would be funded out of free cash.
Mike, I know there was a new update. What is, just so everyone is clear, what is our free cash position?
Well, I was about to
And it's like, yeah, okay, if you want to wait till then, that's fine.
go through the...
Yeah, the town, okay.
Yeah. I have a
That's
lot of
fine.
information for you on
Yep.
that.
Okay.
We can do it right now.
Well, I just think, you know, in terms of making sure everyone's comfortable with these numbers, you know,
I'm not
to,
seeing what he just mentioned on here.
It's not.
No, that's what I'm
We
saying, he's
just,
adding it.
yeah, it's one of the things that we added.
We just discovered that in my conversation with Mary this afternoon.
So that was 5,000?
No.
No, 2,100 and change.
About
Someplace- yeah,
2,000.
Someplace between 2,000 and 2,300 someplace. I don't know the exact number, either.
Yeah, I have a bunch of information for the board.
I didn't bring all this stuff, I printed out.
Oh, you didn't have this.
Oh, okay.
This is our current position as of the end of fiscal year 2019. After town meeting, we had $418,275.29 in free cash. At the town meeting, it deposited $25,000 in the capital fund, $25,000 in stabilization, and $25,000 in OPEB. As of Thursday, we got an email from DOR that our new free cash amount is almost $1.5 million. $1,478,775. How did we get to that level? I'm sure you're asking. I'll break it down as simply as I can. These are our end of the year revenues. And these are our end of the year expenses. If you look in, on the revenue spreadsheet, and you go to third column, the balance, these negative numbers are good. That means we exceeded our projected revenues. So we collected $624,787,100 more than we projected. And we're restricted in projecting revenues to the point where unless the DOR will only usually allow us to raise our revenue projections by 10% over the last year. And you know, we've been, and certain things we can't budget for. For instance, well, The ones where you, miscellaneous receipts, we can't budget for that, and we took in 274,844.
What is that, Mike?
Yeah, what is that? It's a big number.
Yes.
By far the biggest.
And I don't have that. It's pretty large every year. I'll have to get back to you on that number. It's a couple different numbers,
Okay.
but
I notice I've always talked about, we used to always have new growth, and I don't see it anymore, starting last year, so
well,
some of that be that,
no, new growth is not a revenue.
so we've taken it off.
I don't think it's ever been on here.
Well, it's been on, it's always been on every year, new growth has been on there. I know you and I have had discussions on it, and it seems like after that it's not listed anywhere.
It's, I don't think so. I don't recall it ever being on here. I could be wrong, but
You're wrong.
well, I will double check it, but I don't think so, because it's,
How is it that we have real estate and personal property taxes that, if I'm not mistaken, you're saying we took in less than the prior year?
we collected less.
So some of those payments may have been, let's say their final payment was 12/31, Joe. Someone may have not paid their taxes on time, or someone's.
Yep.
And might have been 80 grand worth of taxes, which could be 10 homes in certain neighborhoods, you know,
Yeah.
across town. It's extremely likely that that
It's
was
not always easy.
part and parcel of what happened there. And then, what subsequently will happen is, and I'm guessing, I'm sure speculation, Mike can probably opine a little bit better, is you get a shortage one year, and then that first quarter you get a bump, and then same thing happens at some point down the end of the road. Remember, it's Christmas and Thanksgiving, and people are, who knows? That's my
I
guess.
mean, a 99% collection rate is
Yeah.
Really good.
outstanding.
No, I'm just surprised the number is down based on, the fact that, taxes
Yeah,
have gone up in
basically,
town, and
it's-
we have new houses
I don't
coming
know
on,
if
and,
that's the collection rate, it's just
Yeah,
that
it's
it's
a collection rate.
99%
Okay.
less than, well, okay, received.
Yeah, and then the tax collections, the past due collections are usually higher too. Payment in lieu. There's a line item here. Tax,
Fines and forfeits?
no,
Dun, 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 dun. Fees.
Penalties?
Penalties and interest on taxes, there it is.
yeah,
Third one down.
that's,
So we took in more there than expected.
oh, less.
Less.
no, a lot less.
Less.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, there it is. Wrong column, sorry about
But
that.
people are eating out more.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, because everyone that's always complaining about too many restaurants and takeout joints and everything else, it seems like, that revenue keeps going up. And all those businesses are still in business. So, I understand what people say, with that, but,
Their
it's
complaint
still a
isn't-
community that eats out a lot.
Their complaint isn't that they don't go out to eat, Joe, it's that they would like more choices.
I understand, but the choices aren't there, and they're still going out, and eating. I always say that, when I hear complaints. Oh, what, another pizza? All right, well, if you don't like it, don't go. But at the same time, here we are. They're all in business, and they're all doing well, and...
Well, trivia night's a big ticket in this town, I don't know what to tell you.
All
I
right.
still say we should have an annual pizza festival.
What was the rental that was,
That's the landfill,
okay,
$40,000 a year.
So I haven't seen this number this big in a while. I mean, FinCom must be throwing a party.
We're generally, yeah, that's higher than normal. But if you notice, it's still only 2% more than we budgeted. So that's a real thin margin. I'd like, I'd like a 3% margin.
Yeah, the margin for error is very thin.
Yeah. And likewise, on the expense side, that's the other half of the free cash. If you go to the third page, I highlighted it.
Yeah, 97%.
Yeah, but we didn't spend $447,000 of the budget. And that's, a lot of it has to do with good management of the budget by the department heads.
So that actually represents give back.
Yes. And one big number on the front page is the reserve fund. We only spent $19,000 out of, that's giving back $85,000 that we didn't spend out of the reserve. Many years, we've reined that down to, close to zero. But if you add the 447 not spent and the 624 over that we collected more, there's your $1 million. And we started with 400,000, so that's your $1.4 million.
It's good.
so how much of this can we give back to the taxpayers? Do we need a motion?
Yeah, cute.
Well,
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 I'm not
basically,
joking.
if you want
And you
to.
shouldn't be.
No,
Has FinCom, has FinCom, after getting word of this, had any immediate? They haven't seen that?
They
Okay.
meet Wednesday.
They meet Wednesday, all right. I mean, is there anything immediate that the board would like to see, from the standpoint of, all right, I'm not saying let's go spend, let's have a party here, but, I mean, do we want to do, or can we put any money somewhere? Even if it's, I don't know.
Yeah, we need to,
Put some more money in these funds?
money in OPEB
Yeah.
and any of those reserve funds. If we use this, and so building up our reserves is our number one
Yeah.
priority
Right.
in order to regain our bond
That's
rating.
what I was talking about.
So I think
I
we're,
understand that.
I think we're all
I'd like to,
so, go ahead.
Chief,
Sorry.
weren't you just before us not too long ago, like a meeting or two ago, asking about radios, updated digital radios?
No, that's,
Or was
that's
that part
something
of
that I
the
had put
grant?
in for a grant, and I was told on Friday that we weren't gonna be getting the grant because the AFG for this year is closing on Friday. I ran into the director of the program at an open house in Greenwood Fire Apparatus on Friday, and I asked them about it. But the AFG grants for this fiscal year is gonna be opening in about another month and a half, so I did have a short conversation with Chief Cudmore today about radios, because he's in the same boat as I am. And Haverhill and Groveland are going digital, so that's gonna create a communication nightmare. So the chief and I need to sit down with our radio guys and kind of figure this out, put a plan together to present. Are we ready to do that right now? No, we're not, but
How long will that plan take?
a few months, we're probably
All right, so a few months,
yeah,
so we're not ready for this, okay.
Right, you're probably gonna see something, and just a brief conversation next, for the budget season, when we could get rolling into that and prepare for
okay, I mean-
next Springtown meeting.
Okay.
20, okay?
All right, I mean, as we have this money, I mean, again, let's, let's be smart about it. I mean, there's, stuff like this that, we might be looking at in the spring. But, certainly these funds, it was on the top of our list at the last Springtown meeting, and I think we can, certainly afford to put more money into these funds, especially, when the DOR is looking for us to do it.
Yeah.
So I think it would go a long way with the DOR, to do
I
it.
think
So the question is how much, right? How much do we want to put, is there a recommendation, Mike, initially that we should put forward?
Would that come from FinCom? Would we want to know what they?
No, we have a
recommend?
policy on the Board of
Well-
Selectmen.
Yeah, exactly, but, and we have to close the warrant.
What's the policy?
We have to put something on the warrant tonight, right?
I
So
don't
probably-
have the
We
policy
have
with
to
me.
close the warrant to outside petition warrant articles.
Yeah.
You can
We
put
can still do it.
warrant, you can put articles on up till the day of posting.
But that's coming up.
I guess the whole point.
October 10th is the day that we have to post. So you have one more meeting.
Yeah, so we would really kind of need to do something tonight then.
No, you can do it on the 7th of October.
Well, let's get some ideas together. What does everyone think?
I'm always looking to save money, but, I think we're also, we're on economic development still, I believe. And you're looking for people sometimes to invest in town in different ways. And how would it look out there if a town one year had a surplus and gave some back to the tax levy? I don't know that it would go a long ways to relieve anybody.
Yeah.
That's part of it, but I think it might send a message
Well,
of some type.
I agree.
If we've got funds, we didn't really overtax, we did a good job with the budget, let's say. And some of it got returned, $200,000 or something back to the tax levy. That might be a very small, I was gonna try to call today and actually find out what that would mean for each taxpayer. I mean, $5 a piece, that's very minimal, but, on an average.
Yeah.
But
What is some debt that we have that we could pay down?
You can't.
I was gonna say
Because of the bonds?
Yeah.
But you can pay ahead and put it in a funding in case you have a lean year also.
Well, that's what the
Reserve funds are for.
stabilization reserve funds are for.
If I can, Joe.
Absolutely, Dan. Go ahead.
Selectman Fowler said, give back to the taxpayers. My immediate thought was, let's start getting back into the reserve funds so that we can maybe stabilize the tax rate for a year or so that we don't have another increase. Year over year over year over year, which is really, it is impacting people. And we don't know what's coming down the pipe. I mean, I don't know about your work, but at mine, we are genuinely concerned about the economy and what will come in the next 18 months. We do have an election coming up. Those are always times where the economy will make a move one way or another. So I think it's important that we as a town put this money in reserves and that maybe hold off on a tax increase for the fall of this coming year. I think taxpayers would appreciate that.
Yeah, if it's explained the right way.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
Well, certainly, the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen were in agreement as far as the reserve funds, capital funds, OPEB, and
Yep.
funding those
Right.
when we had the opportunity to do it, so.
And let's not forget that these will, and Doug, correct me, these will be getting increased funding, correct, that through the
Once-
excise tax. Right.
Once Mission
Yeah.
gets their recreational license, the 3% excise tax on those sales,
Yep.
what we determined would be placed into reserve capital and
Yep.
But we don't
So
know.
it's not gonna be a big number to say start off with, but maybe, you know, ongoing. So, you know, I just want to make sure we understood, you know, that's hopefully coming down, hopefully Mission, do their hard work and get going, but,
I mean, there's a capital reserve, right? And we're looking at other things in town down the road. We're looking at possibly improve or renew our safety building and stuff like that.
Correct.
Those are all things that are on the horizon that we've talked about. They're in the, you know, the town future plan there. Forget the exact name of it, but these are all things that, you know.
there is a business development opportunity, as well, that's kind of out there, but not really, but it's kind of beginning discussions, but,
Yeah.
you know, that's also something. Mike, remind me on the STAP fund, where do we need to be on that? I know it's a percentage of,
About 1.5 million.
well, 1.5. So we're at 980. All right, so, I think for me, you know, that's, you know, one of the funds that I always look at. It's something we've been borrowing against, and I'd really like to get it. My number in my head, you know, for an immediate is, this might be aggressive, so don't jump down my throat, is 1.2, which is 220,000. So with that said, I'm not saying we have to do it right now, but at 1.2, you know, I see, you know, kind of getting to 1.5 in the immediate future. And again, we show the DOR that we're serious about, you know, funding these things, that we're serious about doing the right things, you know, with the funds. So I'd like to be aggressive, you know, with all the funds if we can. I'm not necessarily saying the staff fund only, but I don't want to, you know, my point is I don't want to see 25,000. We have a fair amount of money here. I'd like to be aggressive in showing, you know, that the town is putting it in the right place, you know, per David's point, and stabilizing, you know, a tax rate, you know, so forth and so on. So I'd like to see, you know, no less than maybe a couple 100,000, you know, between the funds.
We desperately need to put money in OPEB.
Yeah, that's what I said. So I'm thinking 100, 50. I'd even go over that. I mean, I'm looking to be really aggressive here.
Mike, how much
so-
do you like to carry in free cash? I'm sorry to jump in.
Okay.
No, there was my next question, Doug.
Because he presented a policy.
We used to draw it down to,
300, I think it was, right? 300 is the number.
well, 300,000 is
10%.
is now our policy.
Yeah.
No less than
So technically, we have 1-1.
And remember, by budget, we didn't increase the snow and ice last year. They had hoped to, but they never did.
That's right.
But we probably didn't use it. There wasn't a bad winter.
It was only $157,000. That's one of the lowest
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the last 10 years.
There was one winter we spent that before January.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, I mean, we were struggling. So yeah, I mean, you know, so technically we have 1-1, right? 117 if you back out the 300,000.
So we're 519, 859 roughly short of
Yep.
the town stabilization fund.
And Mike, that's set by the DOR, right?
No, it's not. It's just,
Just an internal number we'd like to have?
it's a best practice.
Okay.
Why don't I do this? Make a motion that we add to this tonight. You know, stabilization fund, capital improvement fund, and OPEC. We can fill the numbers in
Okay.
later, but before we close tonight, that we add Article 4, 5, and 6 to fund those three.
Mm-hmm. Do I have a second?
I'd make that move, yeah.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion on that?
I would like to come up with some numbers though, before we leave here.
Right.
Well,
At least some ballpark figures.
Well,
What's the motion?
Well, I was gonna say, so we have the motion in a second, you know, why don't we do that first? And then if we do want to talk about that and someone wants to make a motion on that, we can certainly vote on it, all right? Good, then?
No, sure, I was just gonna say that we should really work in conjunction with FinCom on it.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it,
And if
but,
they're not meet till Wednesday, then, you know, we can make suggestions and throw it at them and see what they say.
yeah, and we could come up with numbers, we don't even have to put it in, but, you know, we should have maybe in the area we'd like to see. I really don't want to just give it to FinCom to come up with a number and then have it come back to us. I want to be a leader in this. I want to be on the forefront. I don't want to be reactive. I want to be proactive. So with that being said, is there any more discussion on Gary's motion?
So can we just clarify what exactly the motion is again?
It was just to add
fund the three.
Article 4, 5, and 6, and that would be stabilization fund, capital improvement fund, and OPEB.
Okay.
Did we get a second on that?
Yes.
did.
Yeah, so we do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aside.
All right, so that's unanimous. So we will add those. Gary?
Mike, it's just an idea, but I mean, can we change the budget if we, or, like, if we wanted to make an increase to snow and ice? Or would that not carry forward, I guess it would be adding it ahead where usually we add it
Yeah, well,
behind.
you'd have to use, you'd have to use free cash. And
So that would really be adding, yeah, okay.
we get dinged by
Yes.
the rating
Yes,
agencies for using.
I didn't know if there was a way we could make that change because of some of the different revenues or something.
No.
Okay.
Oh, is there anything stopping us from,
Can you pass
let's
this?
say, earmarking an increase to that, but just keeping it in free cash?
Well, what do you,
The only way we could increase it is if we use, and we really don't have any excess, we don't have any excess levy limit. We're right up to the levy limit.
well, you did save some on, didn't medical insurance come in like 2% under or something?
Yeah, but that was, yeah, but that has nothing to do with the levy limit. We took
But yeah, I
advantage
mean,
of
if
that
you took,
savings.
could you make a change where if medical came in under what you expected at town meeting to move that money into snow and ice, and that would still keep the revenues and the budget where it was? You'd just be moving from one line item to the other?
Where would we move it to?
Well, whatever the 2%, I could be wrong, but I thought that you estimated a certain increase in medical.
2%,
And I ran into someone that said that they actually came in with a minus number for us. Now, you were out at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true and that's working out, and you're just hoping to keep that as for free cash, or if that is true and we're aware of it, could we make that change?
It's not a big enough change. I don't believe it's a big enough amount to make that change.
Okay.
Because if we got 2 or 3 people switching from single health insurance to
Okay.
family.
So you'd still like that cushion?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We haven't had a cushion for the last several years. We've been, that was one of the reasons, why the reserve fund has always been getting hit. We haven't had to hit it because we had a cushion.
Well, what,
But it's not a huge cushion.
well, I mean,
Maybe 144,000, something like that.
and I do know that there's, I was going over budget stuff today, and I mean, there's guy over there was presented a budget, hoping to add 2 more people next year. I know you've got the, what do we call that thing, the,
GYCC?
yes. Director.
You know that thing over there?
Some people somewhere.
It's something.
That thing. You
We
know,
all know.
What do they do? What do they
It's
do?
right here, Teen Community
What they do?
Center. There we go.
What are they doing?
I mean, hey, you know, if, you-
Gonna have a shirt now made, Gary.
And we also have on this warrant about to establish a special education reserve fund. So was there any ideas of how that was supposed to be funded?
No, they're just gonna create it.
so I guess what we're saying, with looking at the Article 1
So
and
that'd
2
be more
here,
of a spring thing?
how much of that free cash do you see that eating up? I mean, it's,
In Article 2?
well, Article 1 and 2, I mean.
Well,
was it
one's
that-
175, 45, you know.
I mean, was that coming from free cash? I haven't really.
Yes.
Yeah. And Article 2 also, you were,
That
Not
has
sure.
yet to be determined, and we weren't gonna do that until the spring. We're just creating the fund
Oh, okay.
in the spring,
Ah, that
in the
changes.
fall. And then, because the,
could we not fund it now? I mean, if we're
221
creating a
from Article
reserve
1.
fund and.
no, we don't have all the i's dotted,
Okay.
t's crossed
Okay.
with the school committee.
So really what you see is Article 1 is a big thing of drawing down free cash.
Yeah.
Yeah, 221.
Yeah. So that's
And again,
not,
take
that's
300 out
that's not good.
off the
Right.
top.
Right.
So you're basically,
521.
you basically still got $1 million almost.
Ish. You know what, probably 950.
Wow.
So I'd like to
Had that
throw it
9
out
years ago,
there.
Mike.
How would the board react to 150 in stab, 100 in OPEB, and 50 in capital?
Not enough.
Not enough?
No,
All right, I mean, you know, start the
That would be
discussion.
my reaction.
I mean, that's 300,000. Don't forget, we still have to, you know, leave some free cash in for,
Agreed.
you know, we have snow and ice later on.
$300,000.
You know, What?
I don't want to drop the $300,000 either.
No, listen, I already took the 300 out. That still leaves us, with 300 already out, that we're still at 950.
Yeah.
So,
No, the 300 out, we're at 1178, and then you subtract
And
the,
Why don't you get
221,
down to
right.
leaving 500 in for Mike next year and then put the rest in?
well, you get snow and ice later on, you know,
Yeah,
that's
well,
200.
that's where he was hoping for,
Yeah.
what you say, your
That's-
policy was hoping for 3
Minimum.
carry forward?
No less than 3.
That's why I said, if we left that at 500
So you're
and then tried to invest the rest into savings.
Yeah, so 450, so that'd be
I was
450.
thinking just putting 100 in each of them.
But
Staff fund's gonna be.
still have to leave
go
money
This
for
puts us
snow and ice.
over $1 million in there.
Oh, so
but when we
that
have
to put
300 free
120
cash, you're not planning on that for snow and ice?
No,
Still good.
no.
So then you really need more than that,
Well, you need,
5.
yeah,
you need 500 to 600,000.
yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm proposing.
Go ahead.
All right. You have 1,478,75, get to subtract the 300, that's our base.
Yep.
That leaves you 1,178,775. Go subtract 221 for the town warrants. That gives you 957,775. Subtract another 300 to leave in free cash as in a surplus to handle what you need to handle. That leaves you 657,775. I propose we divvy that up between the 3 funds, and I think we need to go hard at the stabilization fund, according to Mike.
And
And OPEB.
and OPEB.
Yep,
It was basically OPEB and stave.
correct.
That is going to make the biggest difference on the movies and that, correct?
So,
But they
Dave,
also
when you-
wanna see us-
When you ran those numbers, so you're saying we would wind up with 600,000 in free cash?
yes.
All right.
So how would you decipher that, David?
So 657, I would put 125 in the capital fund,
Okay, add 100.
and then I would put 150 in OPEB.
I had 50, okay.
That would give you 382,775 to put in the stabilization.
Exactly.
Say again, 382.
382,775.
Have we,
And now, I say this, and I'm full in support of what Joe said. I think we need to be the leader on this front, but I also think we have a fiscal responsibility to ourselves and to our constituents and friends and neighbors to get ourselves back into a good standing with DOR and everything else. And I think this will make a huge impact with them.
Sure. Well,
Oh, as long as we have a good cushion
Yep.
in free cash after that.
No, I don't want to
They're
strip
breaking
us
it
all
up.
free
Right,
cash,
right,
but
right.
I don't think we need to, I think we need to go hard at this.
So after those numbers, remember, there's another 300 that Mike can play with even after leaving the 300, right?
Right,
For,
I'm giving him 300 back, so
Yep.
now he's at 600,
Yep.
and then we're paying all this stuff down.
Mike, is there anything that we're foreseeing that we would need to leave more money in here?
Well, you gotta fund the reserve fund for sped,
Yeah.
I understand.
and you gotta fund snow and ice.
but we gave you,
Yeah, the snow and ice is a 300, right?
what he's planning gives you an extra 3 on top of the
Exactly.
3 you were hoping for.
All right,
Yeah, you'd still have your 300. In that scenario, he gave you another 300 to play with.
So you'd be at
Well,
6 total.
Yeah, 6 total, with everything. And that's after the
That-
2.1.
And I
yeah.
based that solely off of what I
If
asked.
I,
What is the number 5 to 6? And I went on the high side because, quite frankly, I don't want you to have to come back to us and say, well, now we have to move here and move there and do whatever. I just assume go with the higher number and take these numbers down from there.
yeah, we'll see what the
Gary?
finance committee has to say.
yeah, I mean, I definitely want their input. My question was, have we been bypassing anything on capital? I know we haven't been putting a lot into capital improvement in the town the past few years.
we
Can you
have-
think of anything large that, because you put it in there, it's gonna get spent. I mean, so, but, I mean, have we been holding back on anything that we're,
Nobody's come to me and said, I need a new truck, or I need, the biggest thing we had was the fire truck, and thank God the insurance covered that.
have we ever explored having a vehicle account? I mean, I know
No,
we can use capital for some of the,
You can
some
do
of the
that now.
longer,
Well,
the trucks and that.
For all intents and purposes, the capital reserve, the capital stabilization, that's what that is.
Well, that's why, which capital are we, actually, I'm the one who said capital, but, we've got a capital reserve and a capital, we got 2 different ones, right? A capital reserve and a capital,
We have a capital stabilization, capital improvement program, CIP.
Yeah.
That's just basically a needs list.
so where I think where I hopefully wanted to put money, what I said was we would put that in the capital account. They would know that's in there, then people try to find ways for that funding, and that gets approved at a future town meeting.
Yes.
Okay,
With a 2/3 vote.
yeah.
So just so we're on my numbers, if you took those numbers, you'd have 166,758.67 in the capital fund. You'd have 1,362,916.30 in the stabilization, and you'd have 240,960.93 in OPEB.
And we'll possibly put in more in the spring.
Well, I don't know that, who knows what will be available in the spring, but,
Well, and I think that's why I love the thought. I really do. I usually am on the side of a little caution. This might be a little aggressive for me. I'd like to maybe even leave, say another 100,000 somewhere. Maybe take, bring that 382 down to 325. And then out of the capital, take the other amount of money. and give Mike another 100,000. So you just don't know what pops up, that we might need money for.
Well, yeah,
You know,
I'd
and,
really like to see some held aside for the special education reserve.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You just don't know what's, and what if we have an emergency? What if I guess you could always then go borrow from the funds again, but I don't know. I just, another 100,000, because out of that 300, that David smartly put aside, that's going to be swallowed if we have a bad winter, and so what other funds are we going to have in case we have some kind of need for cash? So, maybe tune it down just a little bit, but other than that, I'm with you. I like the aggressiveness, and I think,
It took us 10 years to get us in the hole. I don't think we need to get us out of the hole, in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
But as long, and really, until we have our next borrowing, we're not gonna have any change in our bond rating. And it's not, you mentioned DOR a couple times ago, it's really the bond rating companies that care. DOR, we could have 0 and they're not gonna care.
all right, well, whoever.
Joe,
Yeah.
if you take 25 off of the capital fund and you take the 82 and change, 775 to be exact, that puts another 107,775 into the free cash, and you still hit OPEB pretty hard, which I think everybody agrees is important to hit.
Yep.
As well as the stabilization fund gets 300, so I think that would, now you given the capital fund a little shortage of 25, but I think 100's still good in
I
that.
think that's excellent.
Yeah, I was more at initially,
Yeah.
the more we can put into these things, the better, certainly.
Right.
Initially, I was at 100 for capital, but 125 is fine. But as far as the staff fund, I was in my head, I was more thinking of 1.2.
Good.
Having that 1.2, and then save the rest of that for the, you can do the 150 for OPEB, and then have that rest set aside in free cash, with the idea of
You can always
figuring
allot it
out how
later
to
in the
do
spring.
special ed reserve fund, or if we get whacked with a big winter or something comes up that we're not totally expecting. And this is kind of fun to have this problem.
It is. No, usually we're the other way around.
Yeah.
We're trying to scratch and claw, and trying to figure out, the other way. Go ahead, Gary.
If I could say, just remember, I mean, the thing with the stabilization fund is, you could put it in next month, and if something goes wrong, we can always put in a warrant
Yeah.
and ask to take it back out in the spring. So, I mean, that's your savings account. That's not just leaving it there as free cash for people to be looking at come next year's budget season and saying, oh, we got all this free cash. I mean, it's a little, it's still keeping it there. Town can still use it. Town can still spend it. It's just a little more restrictive on how you take it out. That's,
What type of account is that in, Mike, the free cash account? Since we talked about rates earlier
Yeah.
and all this stuff.
good question.
Oh, the treasurer has in various, done, it's not just locked in one separate account.
No.
It's in
A multitude of different
Yeah.
accounts? Okay.
and multitude of different, interest bearing, some non-interest bearing, we need it for
Okay.
cash flow.
Right.
But if you notice, our return on investment was much
Yeah.
higher this year than it was last year.
Yeah, rates were up for a good part of the year.
Yeah.
They're ticking back, rates are swinging back and forth.
And we did have a lot more cash on hand because of the bonding and the projects.
David, so specifically 100 in capital, 150 OPEB, and how much was in STEP?
100, 300, and 150.
100, 300, and 150.
Yeah.
Mike, you got that?
Yes.
All right, see what FinCom has to say about that. I think that's fair. I think it's aggressive. I think it's the right move. On Article 1, Mike, the Teen Community Center, specifically, I'd like to put in, it says 15 to 45, I'd specifically like 45. What the notion for the board is, the whole reason that Chairman Dobie, said that is because we don't know when the 30 is coming in.
Right.
They technically need 15, but because we don't know when that 30 will be available, maybe we do 45 when it comes in. We'll figure it out from there. So have that be 45, 100, 75, 45, and then 1,000 sped. And then what's the street acceptance for Palmer Lane for Article 3?
That's just a yes or no vote to accept.
But I mean, what is the story?
Money,
That's the new subdivision.
That's a new subdivision? Okay. I
It was
wasn't
just
really
move
sure.
forward from planning.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Joe. We got stuff on you there.
No, that's why I asked. I wasn't sure what Palmer Lane was. So, okay. Everybody good on that? Is there anything else that we have to, we're good on the articles. So we'll wait, Mike, to hear from you on what FinCom has to say on that?
yeah.
All right.
And then I just had a question. If
Yep.
you had any feedback on that parcel of land adjacent to National Way?
I'm working with, actually, John Eichman. He suggested we do a thorough title search to see if right-of-way is really, if we can access the right-of-way, how it was developed, and, who and how that, those spite strips actually got there.
Have you talked to the owner about, of the
Not
question?
yet.
that we have? Okay.
I'm waiting for the title
Okay.
search.
All right.
Yeah, I think we might need a motion. Motion to, I don't think we did this, maybe I'm wrong. Motion to close the warrant for the
Yeah, we
fall
haven't done-
special town meeting, and that's to include the inclusion of Articles 4, 5, and 6 as we proposed.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Okay, if not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Discussion. Okay. So if I'm not mistaken, I think, Mike, is there anything else on the town administrator report?
No.
Okay. On the selectmen's report, anybody have anything they want to add?
No, I already took care of that.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so our next meeting is October 7th, 2019 at 7 PM, right here on the third floor. If there's nothing, what?
Do we anticipate an executive session?
No. We do?
Oh,
No.
We do?
There's
Why not?
a legal case
oh, yeah.
that Maya, I'm sure.
A settlement discussion for a legal case.
Okay. And that's an executive session? All right, for the board, because one thing I was gonna add, and I did it because I saw Chief, I would like to have an executive session to pick up on the second half of the report. We tackled the first half, but maybe we revisit the steps being taken in the first part of the report and then have that discussion about the second part of the report.
What report?
So,
The one we talked about earlier.
yeah, the,
Management letter, fire department management
Yeah.
letter.
Yeah.
The MRI
MRI letter?
MRI report, thank you.
But isn't that open session?
no, we did that in executive session.
No, we did it in a workshop. And then-
Was it a workshop or was it an executive session?
It was a workshop.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a workshop.
It's just we held it on the second floor.
Yeah, you can't have that in an executive
It was just
session.
You can't, okay, so maybe we have another workshop then, because, that's still hanging out there. I'd like to see
Yes.
what progress the fire department is making too. So with that being said, maybe we'll do it, in November at some point. I was gonna recommend it for the next meeting, but if we have this other executive session, then maybe the following meeting. Would that be okay, Chief?
Yeah, beginning of November, you think?
Either second session BOS meeting in October or beginning of November. We'll let you know.
Okay.
Which one? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Can I hear a motion to adjourn then, please? We have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Good night, everybody.
All right.